So if a celebrity in today's environment raises his or her voice against something being done by the establishment or at the behest of the establishment, then that celebrity is an easy catch, right? All you require is a few policemen knocking at your door and taking you away on some pretext or the other, and even carrying you away might be an extreme step that is not always needed. A phone call from somewhere, right? Or a quick notice or email from a particular department, all that can suffice. And if that celebrity happens to represent the voices of lakhs or millions, then just by shutting up the celebrity, all those lakhs and millions have been silenced at once. So that's a very risky and vulnerable tactic, right? We do not want to put, as we say, all our eggs in one basket, no? Old saying. Then how can we want to make one person the representative of a million voices, right? You are giving the opponents or the perpetrators of inequality, brutality, or environmental destruction a sitting duck to hurt, to shoot at, to put behind the bars? No? If you all say, for example, here sitting all of you, if you say, I'm going to be a voice, let's say I'm declared a celebrity, and you say, you will be our voice, you will be your representative, you will be our face, then something very risky has been done, and that makes that whole movement very vulnerable. Now the government doesn't have to deal with each one of you. The government has to deal with only one person. And we won't always remain face to face, would we? So here we are, and we are together, and we can have solemn pledges, and we can take vows and pass resolutions and say we are all together and united in this fight. We can say all those things. And what happens then? I go back to my house, and there I'm all alone, and something is done to me, and there, this entire gathering cannot come to defend me, and then I can be blackmailed or armed, twisted or coerced. And then just by strangulating this one person, this entire movement, this entire force, the might of this entire collective has been silenced. Silenced. And you won't even get to know. I might be pressurized into striking a deal with the establishment. No? I might betray you, backstab you, right? I might go back and let's say I have a family, I have a wife and kids. And I might find that my wife runs an organization, and some pressure is being put on the finances of that organization. A particular loan from a government bank is at stake, or a particular notice from the tax department is hanging over our head, something. And because I'm related to my wife, so I too experience the related pressure, and then I give in. Don't people give in? Don't people cop out? So I too will do that, and you will never get to know. And so you will just keep waiting in expectation that here I am, your honest representative, and I'll represent your interests honestly, forcefully, adequately in front of the authorities, and you will never even come to know that I have just sold myself out. Does that seem to be then a good strategy to rely on celebrities? Because celebrities are individuals, and all individuals are vulnerable to all kinds of pressures, temptations, coercions, blackmails, and whatnot. So what has happened in the case you're referring to, sir, is probably just the right thing to happen. Zero or very little celebrity support. The faceless and anonymous students themselves took things in their hands. There was a significant agitation within the campus and also outside the campus. And then the courts had to take suo motu cognizance of the happening. That's the best way the thing could have unfolded. No? No, you cannot just pick up any one student and by pressurizing that one student, you can silence the agitation. That is not possible. Because the ownership and leadership stands distributed. If you are silenced, then she will take it up. If he is put behind bars, then some other face will rise and say, come on, yes, together we are. So the usual traditional model of leadership where one person would lead and show the way is probably not the most effective for these times. Because the more you bet on just one individual, the more you are exposing yourself to a targeted attack. Targeted attack. Who is easier to target? This lone individual as he stands here? Or an entire crowd as they sit here dispersed, and not just here, at several places? What's more difficult to target and contain? Please tell me. More difficult. This single person is a sitting duck. Easy to target, so easy to target. And if you don't have a voice of your own, you will find that this person can so easily either just buckle down or betray you. Because people are people. We are all flawed and imperfect beings, no? Nobody can stand firm beyond a point. And the more you put the collective weight of your expectations on one person, the more he becomes vulnerable to torture, to blackmail, to pressure, to all kinds of things. So we need individual responsibility. And that brings us to the role of education. How can you be individually responsible? How can you say that no, we do not necessarily and exclusively rely on one particular teacher or leader? My life, my responsibility. How can you do that if you are not well educated in these matters? Please understand, the traditional model of leadership, in spite of all its pluses and goodnesses, is an authoritarian one. No? One person standing aloft a higher stage, occupying a podium, and then guiding all the ignoramuses like a Pied Piper. Not a pretty egalitarian scene, I suppose, or is it? It's not, right? That model is now outdated and ineffective. We need leaders without followers, which means each person has to be her own leader. You don't need a crowd to become a leader. You need a conscience to become a leader. More than conscience, you need consciousness to become a leader. You don't need a crowd of followers. That's a traditional thing. I am a leader when I have 100 people behind me. And if I can have 1,000,000 people behind me, I'm a bigger leader. That's a traditional thing. No. Today, we all will have to be our own leaders. And that is possible only through education. Unfortunately, that kind of education is not provided by the traditional education system. No. There is no education system that sufficiently tells us of why felling all the trees in a 400-acre area is just not right. No. We are told in vague terms of things like deforestation, reforestation, afforestation, climate change, soil erosion. That doesn't help. That doesn't help. We aren't told how biodiversity is such a vulnerable thing that if a few species go extinct, it's not only those few species, but actually 10 times more the number of species that has been put at grave risk. All these things have not been taught to us. So we need to educate ourselves on our own. We need to understand that for our own sake and for the sake of our kids, it's necessary that we know that things are apocalyptic right now. That we are well and truly into the 6th mass extinction phase. When you know this for yourself, then you don't look out externally for a leader. Because now it's your own personal matter. It's a thing of your own life and the life of your loved ones. Will you say, I don't have a leader, therefore I won't act now? Ma'am, it's your life. If you don't get a leader, how will you not act? We have a few kids here. Will the parents wait for somebody else to come and support if the kids are threatened? No, they'll do whatever is in their own hands. And today, yes, we have come to that point. We'll have to do whatever we can without waiting for any external party, agency, leader, or charismatic individual to support us, defend us, or represent us. Are you getting it? This is the Anthropocene. This is the Anthropocene. It is not about that limited 400-acre area. We have had 5 mass extinctions on this planet before as well, and 3 of them were due to exactly the same reason that accounts for the present one. Excess carbon dioxide in the environment. You understand? The only difference is that this time the excess carbon dioxide is man-made. Earlier it was due to some natural events. This time it is not natural events. This time it is the work, the crime of a single species on this planet, Homo sapiens. It's not happening because of volcanic eruptions or because some great rock has come and hit the planet. No. It is happening because of us. And when we talk of mass extinction, unfortunately, we are not talking of only our species, the culprit species going extinct. Mass extinction means that all the species, 99% of the species will go extinct. In fact, our species, the one responsible, the criminal species, the convict species, our species will probably among the last ones to go totally extinct. Firstly, because we are very numerous, 8+ billion of us. And secondly, because out of these 8+ billion, there is the top 0.1 percentile that controls a disproportionate amount of money, technology, and political power. So they'll be able to save their skin and hold on, hang on for very long. Which means technically the species, our species, wouldn't have gone extinct because some members of the species, the very privileged members, the billionaires and the politicians and the controllers of the media, some members of the species would have survived. So technically, we would still not be extinct. We'll be there as a species to see the extinction of every species that you have known. How many species have you known? Think of peacocks, think of dogs and cats and cows. Think of the little ants, think of the birds, think of all the animated life you witness in the jungle, and we'll see it go. We have seen it go. This is the education that we need. Otherwise, there is going to be no response from the public in general. Over the last 50 years, just the last 50 years, hold your breath please. Over the last 50 years, 70 to 80% of all wildlife has been wiped out by human beings. Take a few seconds to process that. Just over the last 50 years, in our own lifetime. In our own lifetime. So when you were born, if there were 100 creatures in all the jungles over the earth, only 20 to 30 of them are left today. 20 to 30. Any guesses on how many species are going extinct per day? You understand extinction, right? What does extinction mean? Gone, never to return. Gone irreversibly. That's extinction. You will never see a member of those species ever again. That's extinction. Permanent, irreversible. Per day, how many species do you think are going extinct today? Yeah? The number has run up to close to 1,000 now. 1,000 species are going extinct every day. Every day. Every day. That's what we are doing. And it's a web. It's a web. You cannot have one species existing when others are disappearing. Everything is related to everything else. The shape of our body is related to the distance of our planet from our sun. If Earth were only 10% more distant from the sun, it would be so cold we wouldn't have survived. Our skin, our bodies can survive in very narrow temperature ranges. If the radius of the Earth had been a little more or a little less, you wouldn't have had the same height as you have today. Your heart won't be beating at the same rate as it does today. Because if the size of the planet changes, then the atmospheric pressure changes. Right? Atmospheric pressure is related to the gravity that the planet exerts on the atmosphere. And your heart must exert enough pressure That counterbalances the atmospheric pressure. Otherwise, our veins would simply collapse under the atmospheric pressure or burst if the pressure is too low outside. Do you understand? The Western model is that one thing is separated from the other thing. A model of isolation. Whereas wisdom lies in seeing that everything is connected to everything else. You destroy one thing and there is no way other things are going to stand for long. That's the education we need today. Now, this education involves both a scientific aspect and a spiritual aspect. You have to know about yourself, why we are so destructive, why do we want to bring down everything just for our own amassment, amusement, greed and fun, and what it does to the entire world when we exploit all natural resources for the sake of our ignorance. Both kinds of educations are needed. If those educations are not there, then we'll just coolly walk past a burning jungle. We'll never understand that it's a matter of my own house, my own life, my family, and hence it's my individual responsibility. I cannot wait for a leader or a court to intervene. Do you understand? If you get a disease in your body, do you want the Supreme Court to do something about it? If your child fails an examination, do you want a great leader to do something about it? You act on your own, right? You act on your own. The problem is we do not understand this planet is our home and only home. We think we are some kinds of travelers or tourists over here. No, we are not travelers or tourists. We arise from this soil and we go back to the soil. You have not come from somewhere else. And there is no other world or lok you are returning to after your death. You arose from the soil and you will return to it. And once you realize that in this way you are going to stay here eternally, why won't you want to take care of your planet? Because your planet is not your planet is you. Your planet is who you are. This body is this planet. And if this body is this planet, and you want to take so much care of your body, cosmetics and this and that, won't you want to take care of the very stuff your body is made of? Your body is made of this planet. No amount of cosmetics will help once the planet is gone. And the planet is already mostly gone. 10 years back, when I would discuss the specter of climate change, I would implore my audiences, I would say, kindly think how you would answer history's questions. The future generations will have prickly questions to ask. And you'll be ashamed. The future generations will ask you, when all this was happening, where were you and what were you doing? Now I no more take this line. Because there might be no future generations. Because this might be the very end of history. Because there might be just no one to even ask this question. What were you doing when all this was happening? This destruction of forests and ecosystems. We are already 1.5 degrees above normal. And that has set in motion all kinds of feedback loops. And they are now not stoppable. They are irreversible. Even if we stop emitting carbon, those cycles will now proceed on their own. We are talking of cycles that further the emission of carbon.